And yesterday, had a nice little dinner, hung out with Nibbles for a bit. There's a few other Nobos. I think they're just doing this Oregon section. They were camped like 50 yards across from us. And just kind of hung out. We were there by 7. Nice camp, had dinner together. He went into his tent to watch Stranger Things. I went to my tent to read. I edit some video. Not that that's really a skill on the iPhone. Hope he finishes season 3 soon, because I would love to just geek out about it and talk with him for like hours or about it. But good night. Woke up, it's cold again. I think cold mornings are just gonna be it for the rest of the trail, but it's weird. The forecast now calls for 90% chance of rain all afternoon. So I'm near a water cache now, like not even a mile away. I think it's 10:30 or 11. I'm gonna stop now and have an early lunch so I can relax and have all my stuff out and, you know, not have to deal with that whole nastiness. Load my pockets with snacks and get the rain jacket handy so when it does happen, I'm already nice and fat and I can just throw on the rain jacket and, you know, deal with it. Oregon's kind of reminding me of Vermont today. Man, still trying to warm up. Definitely slept in this morning. Usually I'm up around 6:30 or so, or at least I'm starting to get up. Today was more like, oh, it's 7, and still the rain was coming, or it was more just wet. I'm sure lots of it was just water dripping off trees, but the fog and the clouds are still so thick. And I know today is only going to be a 25-ish anyway, just shy of a place called Shelter Cove, where we're going to resupply, maybe chill out and have a beer or a hot meal if there's a restaurant. So I was like, screw it, I'm standing here till the sun's supposed to come out. It was supposed to stop or clear up around 7 last night. And it was rainy at 8, 9, midnight, 2, 4, all the times I woke up. So, I mean, I knew I was going to be cold, but my butt pad, I definitely need to replace it with like a Z seat that I used 2 years ago, because it's like a sponge. The other one, like, it never really absorbed water. Plus I had a pack cover to protect it, which I might pick up, but it's so wet. So I have a 3/4 length underquilt, so my feet aren't protected. So I put a butt pad, which I carry anyway, under my feet, and that's what insulates them. When it's dripping wet, obviously I'm not gonna shove that into my down sleeping bag. So I tried to curl into a ball, and my hip was really tight and acting up. So every hour I'd wake up and have to stretch it out until my feet got too cold. I knew it was going to be a rough night the last time. I had a cold rain like that all day long. I was in Vermont on the AT. And we just pushed through it for like 25 miles of Vermont ups and downs. And I remember we got there, set up everything, had a hot meal, climbed into my hammock, and everything was dry. And I was mostly warm, but my hands and my feet, it took like hours to warm up. And that was actually the day that had me convinced to send my warm stuff back to me up north. And definitely happened again last night. It is always gorgeous after rain.
It makes you feel adventurous.
Yeah, it does.
So he wanders into the back of the campground while we were down there signing in.
Some pretty horses. I'm at a horse camp now, obviously. It's shocking how much money is involved in these things. People have these huge trailers for like 90 grand, and the truck pulling it is probably like 50 grand. And the horses themselves, God knows. But it's a really cool camp. People, you know, bring their horses here, stable them in these stables they have, ride all day and come back and set up their camp. I hung out with 2 ladies last night. Am I in the right spot? Two ladies last night. They were giving me beer and wine. One of them was a backpacker and she just finished a trip, so she was like, here, take all my extra food. They were really nice. They had a bunch of dogs I got to play with, which was always a bonus. Some awesome trail magic here. The caretakers, or the hosts, or whatever it's called, give, sodas to hikers. They gave us a pot of chili, which we ate, and had a huge fire. It was just really cool. Those ladies at the horse camp had me thinking, and I get this all the time when you're like in town or like a Crater Lake. That lady who made her husband buy me the beer said the same thing, like some variation of like, oh my God, you're an inspiration. I wish I'd done this 15 years ago, that sort of thing. And on one hand, like, I get it. It's one of the reasons I felt like I needed to do this now, because in 15 years I might not be able to. And point of fact, aside from Nibbles, everyone over the age of 45 that I've seen out here is no longer out here for injuries or, God, happy hour had 2 hernias. But those ladies too at the horse camp last night were like, oh my God, I love backpacking, but what you're doing's crazy, blah, blah, blah. I wish I could have done it 20 years ago. And you want to say, you still can. There's always time. Graybeard did it on the AT 2 years ago at like 83, I think. But being realistic, she had all these horses. She lived by herself, There's probably no way she could get all that covered without a huge sacrifice, of course. So I get it. But so during that rain the other day, this guy stood out to me. It was pouring. Like, I didn't get any film. All the crazy stuff that make the best stories, you never get on film because you're too miserable to pull out the camera. Like all those ascents in the Sierra, I've got cool pictures, 1 or 2 videos, but that's because like Cub or someone else pulled out that camera when they were already in a position of safety. I wasn't sitting there trying not to shit my pants and hey, now's a good time to pull out the camera and get a nice shot. So anyway, it's pouring rain, just like needles, freezing cold, windy, just miserable, can't feel your hands. And I see 2 Sobos coming up this hill that I'm coming down, a lady and a gentleman, and standard hiker greeting, like, beautiful day, huh? And the woman in front says, good, how are you? Doesn't look up, clearly miserable. Gentleman behind her, maybe in his 40s, he's got one leg, prosthetic on the other leg, not even wearing a rain jacket, just wearing like a fleece, like a thin base layer. Looks up and asks me how I'm doing. I was like, just living the dream, man. He gives me this huge smile and he's like, yeah, brother, you get it. And like gives me this emphatic nod and he's like, yeah, brother, we're both there. Huge smile. We high five in the middle of the trail. And I always think of people like that when you hear the, oh, it's so inspiring, or oh, I wish I could do it kind of thing. Here's this guy, one leg, cold to the bone, not even wearing a rain jacket, just getting after it. I thought that was awesome. If you watch this, I'll probably never see you again, but man, that's the person you want to like buy a beer and sit next to in the pub, or in our case, maybe splitting a pizza would be the better option. I was thinking about that a little more. I don't want to take away from her or mock or reduce the meaningfulness in any way of what those ladies said to me. In fact, when people say that sort of thing, like inspiring or whatnot, or even just, kindred spirits that are into the same thing, that just think what you're doing is really cool, envious of what you're doing, it's like almost like pride. They're proud of you and they want to, I guess, feel like they're a part of your own journey in some way. And that's just super cool. It makes you feel really good about, makes you feel really a lot better about being out here or doing something like this. That actually means a lot to me. I think it's really awesome. And I was very thankful. I took pictures with them before I left and most of the dogs. But still, when you meet another person that's as crazier, maybe crazier than you, sometimes that enthusiasm is infectious and you're just like, my man. It's like everyone has that itch somewhere in their soul, I suppose, for some sort of tomfoolery and shenanigans. That's enough rambling from me. I did just pass what appeared to be 2 grandparents and some grandkids with huge backpacks. But the older gentleman had a Santa hat on, and he asked me if I'd been good this year. Told him I hope so. And he gave me this. Man, there was a Sobo in camp last night who told me from camp to Shelter Cove, where I'm going, was all flat or downhill, and how much he loved just walking by a creek the whole time. I've seen no creek and I'm going uphill. Classic Sobo trick.